First thing we are going to dive right into is along the lines of cardio burning your muscle. And more specifically, if running will ruin your muscle growth. This is a lot of times what beginners will come up to me and say, hey, I saw that person and they run a lot. And I noticed that they don't really have that much muscle. So is it true? Does cardio literally eat your muscle? Does it just burn it off? Well, let's talk about cardio in general, okay? So cardio in general typically will not really interfere with muscle growth that much, okay? And we're gonna go over some caveats here. Certain forms are likely better than others when it comes to maintaining muscle mass. But for the most part, it will not interfere with muscle growth. One of the most important things that you need to do though when you are considering doing some cardio in addition to your weight training is to make sure your calories are in check, okay? Because what happens a lot of times when people start to do a bunch of cardio is that they will immediately not be eating enough calories. And if you don't eat enough calories, of course, you will not be in a calorie either maintenance or surplus. And if you're not at least in a maintenance or surplus, that is a full ticket to basically, yes, eat your muscle. So that's one of the ways that cardio can potentially lead you to ruining muscle growth. More specifically, let's talk about running. So running in itself is a fairly high impact cardiovascular activity, okay? So because of that, it takes a decent amount of energy reserves, and it basically just takes more to recover from when it comes to a connective tissue point, when it comes to all of the muscles, tendons and ligaments in your legs. All of those things when you're doing running workouts, they're getting beat up that entire time, okay? And that isn't inherently bad, but it can be bad if you're somebody who's doing a lot of leg-focused workouts on top of that. And let's say you're trying to get the most out of your muscle mass. If you're just doing some full body workouts with a little bit of legs, a little bit of arms, just as a way to help you with your running, it's probably not going to affect it that much. But if you are somebody who's trying to maximize muscle growth, specifically in your legs, all that high impact activity from running really does build up, and it can take a toll over time. Another thing that this can do specifically with running is that it can slightly increase your injury risk. If we think about the fact that it's a very high impact activity, if we are consistently putting our joints and connective tissue through that beat up pattern from running, which is very hard to do, and especially I should say because most people don't know how to run too properly. Most people can do okay, but most people don't know how to run fast and efficiently and properly, which puts you at a greater risk of injury. On top of the fact that, again, it's just a lot of overall workload. And when you're running too, if you think about it, you are literally putting a super large amount of force in one of your legs, and then you are switching it and doing it into the other leg. And you are just completing this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for a very long time, very long period. And essentially what this does and what this can do is build up some of those what we call overuse injuries, where it's just very small nagging injuries that maybe would never get to be a full-blown like injury, like a tear or a rupture of a tendon, but it can be just a little bit of light inflammation where you might lead to some of that tendinopathy or tendonitis, etc. So if you are still somebody who is wanting to do cardio, there's some good things you can do that won't maybe affect your leg workouts as much. Specifically if you're trying to actually just grow muscle in general, but usually this would kind of focus on your legs. So some other options instead of running that are a little bit more lower impact might be a little bit better to recover from. And usually running burns a lot of calories too, so these other options will burn a little less calories. Biking is a great one. Rowing, the rowing machines at the gym. If you're able to actually row outside, you could do that too, of course. Swimming. So swimming is a really, really good low impact activity for cardiovascular exercise. The problem is a lot of people don't have access to pools. So during the summertime, you might be able to get away with it a little more if you are in a place during the winter where there's not indoor pools, right? Fast walking is probably one of my favorite forms of cardiovascular exercise. Not only can you get a really good cardio workout in, but it's also pretty low impact, and you can do it anywhere. You don't need any equipment at all, and basically most people can do some form of fast walking. Not all people can get onto a bike very well. Not all people can get onto a rowing machine very well. So because of this, fast walking is by far one of my favorites. You can also put on like a rucksack or like a backpack with a bunch of heavy loads, and that can give you a little more stimulus to allow you to continue to, of course, work in your cardio and not eat your muscle away, right? Elliptical is another great option too. Very, very low impact. Kind of an awkward movement to get into, but some people really like the elliptical. I'm not too big of a fan. I'm not really sold on it that much. But, to each their own. I'd highly recommend trying all these out. And also notice that some forms of cardio will likely affect you differently than others. For myself, I used to play basketball a lot when I was in high school, recreationally. And I noticed that form of cardio literally killed my overall workouts in the gym the next day. So because of that, I either needed to plan ahead or just kind of realize that, hey, today's leg workout or today's workout in general might not be quite up to par of what I'm normally used to doing. And sometimes that's okay too, especially if you're trying to get in some just different forms of cardio, maybe like basketball. So go ahead and give this video a like so far if that's provided you some value.